Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human ship UES Horizon and watched the stars through the big window. He had been in space for 15 years and had seen many strange things, but today felt different. The communication officer turned around and looked at him with wide eyes. "Sir, we are getting a message from the Zephyrian Empire," she said. Her voice was shaking a little. "It is coming directly from their home planet." Jake walked over to her station. The Zephyrians were known across the galaxy as one of the most advanced races. They had technology that humans could only dream about. They could read minds and move things with their thoughts. Most alien races feared them or tried to stay away from them. Humans had only met them twice before, and both times had been very formal meetings that lasted only a few minutes. "Put it on the main screen," Jake said. He straightened his uniform and tried to look professional. The other crew members on the bridge stopped what they were doing and turned to watch. The screen flickered and then showed a beautiful alien woman. Her skin looked like it was made of soft crystal and changed colors in the light. Her hair was long and silver like starlight. Her eyes were the most amazing thing about her. They were purple but seemed to have tiny stars moving inside them. "Greetings, humans of the ship Horizon," she said. Her voice was musical and seemed to come from everywhere at once. "I am Princess Lyra Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. I speak for my father, Emperor Thane Veltar, ruler of 7 star systems." Jake stepped forward. "Your Highness, I am Commander Jake Morrison. We are honored by your message. How can we help you?" The princess smiled, and her eyes changed from purple to a soft blue color. "Commander Morrison, I have been studying your people for many months. Your race is very interesting to us. You are young compared to most species in the galaxy, but you have spread to many worlds very quickly. You fight hard when you must, but you also show great kindness to others." Jake was not sure what to say. He had expected this to be a normal diplomatic message, maybe asking for trade agreements or discussing space routes. This sounded much more personal. "We have watched how humans form bonds with each other," Princess Lyra continued. "Your marriages and friendships are unlike anything we have seen before. Most races in the galaxy make alliances based on logic and need. But humans seem to make connections based on something deeper. Something you call love?" The crew members on the bridge looked at each other with confused expressions. Jake felt his face getting warm. "Your Highness, we do value our personal relationships. Very much. They give us strength and help us work together." "Yes, exactly," the princess said, and her eyes became brighter. "This is why I am making this request. My people and yours could become great allies. But I believe the strongest alliance would come from understanding each other completely. I wish to learn about human bonding by experiencing it myself." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. "I am not sure I understand what you mean, Your Highness." Princess Lyra looked directly at him through the screen. "I'm asking if a human representative would be willing to engage in what you call courtship with me. I want to learn how humans form these deep emotional connections. If successful, this could create a bond between our peoples that has never existed before in the galaxy." The bridge became completely silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. He had been married once, many years ago. His wife, Lisa, had died in the war with the Centauri rebels. Since then, he had focused only on his duty and his career. The idea of courting an alien princess seemed impossible. "Your Highness, this is a very unusual request," Jake said carefully. "I would need to discuss this with my superiors on Earth." "Of course," Princess Lyra said. "But, Commander Morrison, I should tell you that I have already spoken with your government leaders. They have agreed to this cultural exchange. In fact, they have specifically recommended you as the human representative." Jake felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. "Me? But why me?" The princess tilted her head slightly. "Your leaders tell me you are honest and brave. You have lost someone you loved, so you understand the true value of deep connections. They also say you treat all beings with respect, no matter where they come from. These qualities make you perfect for this mission." Jake looked around at his crew. They were all staring at him with amazement. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kate Rodriguez, stepped forward. Sir, this could be the most important diplomatic mission in human history, she whispered to him. Jake knew she was right. An alliance with the Zephyrian Empire would change everything for humanity. It would give them protection from hostile races and access to incredible technology. But the personal cost worried him. He was not sure he was ready to open his heart again, especially to someone from another world. Princess Lyra, he said finally, if I agree to this, what exactly would it involve? The princess smiled again. You would come to my world as my guest. We would spend time together and learn about each other's cultures. I would try to understand human emotions and relationships. You would learn about Zephyrian society and our ways of thinking. If we find that we are compatible, we would announce our intention to bond, which would create a formal alliance between our peoples. Jake took a deep breath. And if we are not compatible? Then we part as friends, and our peoples will still have gained valuable knowledge about each other, she said. But Commander Morrison, I have studied your species carefully. I believe we have more in common than you might think. Jake looked at the beautiful alien princess on the screen. Her eyes had changed to a warm golden color, and he could see hope in them. He thought about his duty to humanity and about the chance to make history. He also thought about Lisa and wondered what she would want him to do. Your Highness, I accept. Your proposal? He said. When should I come to your world? Princess Lyra's face lit up with joy, and her whole body seemed to glow with soft light. As soon as possible, Commander Morrison. I am very excited to begin this adventure with you. The transmission ended, and Jake stood looking at the blank screen. His life had just changed forever, and he was not sure if he was ready for what was coming next. Jake Morrison had never seen anything like Zephyr Prime. The entire planet seemed to be made of crystal that floated in the air. Huge cities hung in the sky, connected by bridges of pure light. The buildings were tall and graceful, shaped like flowers made of glass. Everything sparkled and glowed with soft colors that changed as he watched. His small shuttle flew between the floating structures toward the royal palace. Jake wore his best dress uniform and had spent hours making sure everything looked perfect. He was nervous in a way he had not felt since he was a young cadet. This was not just a diplomatic mission anymore. It was something much more personal and much more frightening. The palace was the most beautiful building he had ever seen. It looked like a giant crystal flower that opened toward the stars. As his shuttle landed on a platform made of smooth white stone, Jake saw dozens of Zephyrians waiting for him. They were all tall and elegant, with the same crystal-like skin and flowing hair as Princess Lyra, but their eyes were cold as they watched him step out of his shuttle. Princess Lyra stood at the front of the group. She wore a dress that seemed to be made of liquid starlight and moved like water around her. Her hair was decorated with tiny gems that sparkled like real stars. When she smiled at him, Jake felt his heart beat faster. Welcome to Zephyr Prime, Commander Morrison, she said. Her voice was even more beautiful in person than it had been on the communication screen. I hope your journey was comfortable. Jake bowed the way he had been taught in diplomatic training. Thank you, Your Highness. Your world is more amazing than I could have imagined. Princess Lyra stepped closer to him. Her eyes were bright green today, and Jake could see excitement in them. I have prepared special gifts for you, as is proper in human courtship rituals. I studied your customs very carefully. She gestured to several Zephyrian servants who came forward carrying strange containers. Jake wondered what could be inside them. Flowers, maybe, or local art objects. He smiled and waited to see what she had chosen. The first servant opened his container, and Jake jumped backward. Inside was a large creature that looked like a cross between a shark and a dragon. It had huge teeth and glowing red eyes. It was sleeping, but Jake could see its powerful muscles under its black scales. This is a Terran Death Stalker, Princess Lyra said proudly. It is one of your planet's most dangerous predators. I thought you would appreciate it since humans seem to value fierce creatures for protection. Jake stared at the sleeping monster. Your Highness, this is very thoughtful, but humans do not usually give dangerous animals as courtship gifts. Princess Lyra looked confused. Her eyes changed to a worried yellow color. But your entertainment broadcasts show humans keeping large predators as companions, and your military records show great respect for dangerous creatures. The second servant opened his container. Inside was a giant spider with fur and fangs, as long as Jake's fingers. The third container held something that looked like a small dinosaur with poison spikes. Jake realized what had happened. Princess Lyra had been learning about humans from military reports and action movies. She thought all humans loved dangerous creatures because that was what she saw in the stories. Your Highness, Jake said gently, those entertainment broadcasts are not real. They are stories we tell for fun. In real courtship, humans usually give flowers or small gifts that are beautiful, not dangerous. Princess Lyra's face turned the same color as her crystal skin, which Jake realized meant she was embarrassed. Oh no, I have made a mistake. I wanted to impress you with my knowledge of human customs. Jake smiled at her. You did impress me. It shows how much effort you put into learning about my people. But maybe I could teach you about real human courtship instead of the movie version. Princess Lyra's eyes brightened to a happy blue color. You would do that? Even though I gave you terrible gifts? They are not terrible gifts, Jake said. They are very expensive and hard to find, I am sure. It is the thought that matters to humans, not the gift itself. Princess Lyra smiled, and for the first time Jake heard her laugh. It sounded like music made of silver bells. You are very kind, Commander Morrison. Perhaps you could tell me what gifts humans really give when they are courting? Well, flowers are very popular, Jake said, and small jewelry or books or things that remind us of happy memories. Flowers, Princess Lyra repeated. Yes, I have read about these. They are plant reproductive organs that humans find beautiful for some reason. Jake laughed. When you put it that way, it does sound strange. But yes, we think they are beautiful because they are colorful and smell nice and they do not try to eat us. Princess Lyra laughed again. I think I understand now. Humans prefer gifts that make them feel peaceful and happy, not gifts that make them feel strong and powerful. Exactly, Jake said. Though I have to admit that Deathstalker would definitely make me feel powerful if I could control it. As they walked into the palace, Jake noticed that not all the Zephyrians seemed happy about his visit. Some of them watched him with suspicious eyes. Others whispered to each other in their musical language when they thought he was not looking. Princess Lyra led him through halls filled with floating crystals that sang soft melodies. The walls showed moving pictures of Zephyrian history. Jake saw battles in space, the building of the floating cities, and ceremonies where Zephyrians touched their minds together in ways that looked both beautiful and frightening. My people are not sure about this courtship, Princess Lyra said quietly as they walked. Many of them think humans are too primitive for our royal family. Others worry that your emotions are too strong and unpredictable. Jake nodded. My people have similar concerns about your people. Some humans think Zephyrians are too advanced and cold. They worry that you will look down on us or try to control us with your mental powers. Princess Lyra stopped walking and looked at him seriously. Do you think I'm cold, Commander Morrison? Jake looked into her changing eyes and saw sadness. No, Your Highness, I think you are curious and brave. It takes courage to try something completely new, especially when your own people doubt you. You may call me Lyra when we are alone, she said softly. And may I call you Jake? Of course, Jake said. That would make me very happy. They entered a large room with windows that looked out over the floating city. The view was incredible, but Jake found himself looking at Lyra instead. When she was not trying to follow human customs she had read about, she was natural and genuine. Her expressions were easy to read, even though her skin and eyes were so different from human features. Jake, she said, would you teach me about human emotions? Not the ones in your entertainment stories, but the real ones? Jake thought about his wife Lisa and the pain he had felt when she died. He thought about the loneliness of the years since, then, and the fear he felt about opening his heart again. He also thought about the strange, warm feeling he got when Lyra smiled at him. Emotions are complicated, he said. They can make us very happy or very sad, sometimes at the same time. They can make us do brave things or stupid things. But they help us connect with other people in ways that go deeper than just working together. Lyra nodded. Zephyrians have emotions too, but we are taught to control them with our minds. We think that logic should guide our decisions, not feelings. But when I watch humans, I see that your emotions give you strength in ways that logic alone cannot. Maybe we can learn from each other, Jake said. You can teach me about Zephyrian logic and mental discipline. I can teach you about human emotions and connections. Lyra's eyes changed to a warm golden color. I would like that very much, Jake Morrison. As the alien sun set behind the crystal cities, Jake realized that this strange courtship might actually work. Princess Lyra was not what he had expected, but she was something better. She was real. The alarm bells rang through the palace like screaming metal birds. Jake jumped out of his bed and ran to the window. In the distance, he could see fire and smoke rising from one of the floating cities. Red lights flashed across the crystal structures. As emergency vehicles flew between the buildings, Princess Lyra burst into his room without knocking. Her hair was wild and her eyes were bright red with fear and anger. She wore a simple white dress instead of her usual royal clothing. Jake, something terrible has happened, she said. Her voice was shaking. The human colony on Kepler-7 is under attack. The Hegemony Coalition sent 12 warships. They are killing everyone. Jake felt ice in his stomach. Kepler-7 was home to 50,000 human families. Most of them were farmers and scientists who had never seen war. They had no military ships to protect them. How do you know this? Jake asked as he quickly put on his uniform. Our long-range sensors picked up the attack, Lyra said. My father has called an emergency meeting of the Royal Council. They are deciding whether to help or stay out of human affairs. Jake strapped on his weapon belt. What does your father think we should do? Lyra's eyes changed to a determined silver color. He thinks we should send a diplomatic message asking the hegemony to stop. But Jake, people are dying right now. By the time we send messages and wait for replies, everyone on Kepler-7 will be dead. Jake knew she was right. The Hegemony Coalition was made up of 6 alien races that hated both humans and Zephyrians. They thought both species were growing too powerful and needed to be stopped. They would not listen to diplomatic messages while they were in the middle of an attack. We need to go there now, Jake said. Do you have any ships that could make the journey? Lyra looked at him with surprise. We have ships, but Jake, this would be very dangerous. The hegemony has 12 warships. Even our best military vessels would have trouble fighting that many enemies. Jake grabbed Lyra's hands. They felt warm and soft, but he could feel strength in them too. Lyra, those are my people dying out there. I have to try to help them, even if I die trying. It is what humans do. Lyra stared at him for a long moment. Her eyes cycled through several colors as she thought. Finally, they settled on a bright gold color that Jake was learning meant determination. Then I'm going with you, she said. Jake shook his head. No, absolutely not. You are a princess. You have never been in a battle. It is too dangerous. Lyra's eyes flashed red again. Jake Morrison, do not tell me what I can and cannot do. This courtship is supposed to be about learning from each other. How can I learn about human courage if I stay safe in my palace while you risk your life for others? Jake started to argue, but then he saw something in Lyra's face that reminded him of his wife Lisa. Lisa had been a doctor, and she had insisted on going to dangerous places to help wounded soldiers. She had died doing what she believed was right. Jake realized that Lyra had the same kind of brave heart. If you come with me, you have to follow my orders during the battle, Jake said. I know about fighting, about Zephyrian technology. We work together, Lyra smiled. Agreed. Now let us go steal a ship. It turned out they did not have to steal a ship. When they reached the royal hangar, they found that Emperor Thane had already prepared his fastest scout vessel for them. The Emperor was a tall, imposing figure with silver hair and eyes like stars. He looked at Jake with an expression that was hard to read. Commander Morrison, the Emperor said, my daughter tells me you wish to rescue your people on Kepler 7. Yes, Your Majesty, Jake said. I know it is dangerous, but I cannot abandon them. The Emperor nodded slowly. This is very interesting. Most species would calculate the odds and decide the mission was hopeless. But you are willing to try anyway because those people matter to you personally. They are not just statistics. Jake said, they are families with children and dreams. They deserve a chance to live. Emperor Thane looked at his daughter. Lyra, you understand that if you go on this mission, many of my people will see it as proof that you care more about humans than about Zephyrians? Lyra lifted her chin proudly. Father, if I do not go, how will I ever understand what makes humans worth allying with? Jake is showing me something important about his people. They do not abandon each other, even when it seems hopeless. The Emperor smiled for the first time since Jake had met him. Very well, take the ship, but take Captain Zorn with you. He is our best pilot, and you will need all the help you can get. The journey to Kepler 7 took 6 hours at maximum speed. Jake spent the time studying the colony's layout and trying to figure out how to rescue people from 12 enemy warships. Lyra sat beside him, practicing with the ship's communication system. Jake, she said after a while, I should tell you something. Zephyrians have an ability that might help us. We can link minds temporarily with other people. It allows us to share thoughts and coordinate actions perfectly. Jake looked at her with interest. Could you do that with the colonists? Help them organize an evacuation? Possibly, Lyra said. But I have never tried it with humans before. And it only works if the other person is willing to open their mind to me. When they arrived at Kepler 7, the situation was even worse than they had feared. The colony's main city was on fire. The hegemony ships were systematically destroying every building while small fighter craft hunted down fleeing civilians. Captain Zorn, a grizzled Zephyrian veteran, shook his head as he looked at the sensor readings. Commander Morrison, there are too many of them. Even if we had a full battle fleet, this would be difficult. Jake studied the tactical display. We are not here to win a battle. We are here to save lives. Can you get us close to the main evacuation center without being detected? I can try, Captain Zorn said. But once they see us, we will have maybe 10 minutes before they blow us out of space. 10 minutes will have to be enough, Jake said. He turned to Lyra. Are you ready to try linking with the colonists? Lyra nodded, though her eyes showed her nervousness. I will do my best. Captain Zorn brought their ship down through the planet's atmosphere like a falling star. Enemy fighters immediately spotted them and began attacking. The ship shook as energy blasts hit their shields. They landed near the evacuation center, where hundreds of humans were trapped in underground shelters. Jake and Lyra ran through smoke and fire toward the entrance. Hegemony soldiers were advancing on the building, firing their weapons at anything that moved. Jake drew his pistol and began shooting back at the enemy soldiers. He was a good shot, but there were too many of them. One of their energy blasts hit him in the shoulder, spinning him around. He fell to the ground, blood spreading across his uniform. Lyra screamed and ran to him. Jake, you are hurt. I am okay, Jake said, though he was not. Can you reach the people in the shelter? Lyra closed her eyes and reached out with her mind. Jake felt a strange, tingling sensation as her mental power touched his thoughts. Suddenly he could hear the voices of the trapped colonists in his head. They were terrified, but still fighting to protect their families, working together. Jake and Lyra guided the colonists through the safest evacuation routes. Lyra's mental link allowed them to coordinate like a single organism. Jake's tactical knowledge helped them avoid enemy patrols. In 8 minutes, they had gotten 200 people safely to Captain Zorn's ship, but Jake was getting weaker from blood loss. During the final evacuation run, he collapsed. Lyra knelt beside him and placed her hands on his wound. Her skin began to glow with soft blue light. What are you doing? Jake asked weakly. Saving your life, Lyra said. This is an ancient Zephyrian healing technique, but it creates a temporary mental bond between us. You will experience my memories and emotions, and I will experience yours. Jake felt Lyra's mind merge with his own. He saw her childhood in the crystal palaces, her loneliness as the only princess willing to reach out to other species, and her growing feelings for him. At the same time, Lyra experienced his memories of war and loss, his love for his dead wife, and his amazement at the brave, beautiful alien woman who had risked everything to help his people. When the healing was complete, they looked at each other with new understanding. They had shared something deeper than words could express. "We have to go," Captain Zorn called. "More enemy ships are coming." As their ship lifted off with its cargo of rescued humans, Jake and Lyra watched Kepler 7 burning below them. They had saved 200 lives, but thousands more had been lost. "I'm sorry we could not save them all," Lyra said softly. Jake took her hand. "You saved everyone you could." "That is what matters," Lyra squeezed his hand. "Now I understand what my father meant. Humans do not calculate odds. You just do what is right, no matter what it costs." Jake looked at the beautiful alien princess who had risked her life for his people. "And now I understand Zephyrians better too. You are not cold or logical, you are brave and caring. You just show it differently than humans do." As they flew toward safety, both of them knew that their relationship had changed forever. They were no longer just participating in a diplomatic courtship. They were partners who had faced danger together and discovered that they truly cared for each other. The news of the Kepler 7 rescue spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Jake Morrison found himself famous overnight as the human commander who had convinced an alien princess to risk her life for his people. Princess Lyra became known as the first Zephyrian royal to ever participate in a military mission. Jake stood in the royal council chamber on Zephyr Prime, watching the most powerful beings in the Empire argue about his relationship with Lyra. The chamber was a huge crystal dome filled with floating platforms where the counselors sat. Their voices echoed off the walls as they debated in both their musical language and in galactic common speech so Jake could understand. "This human has made our princess into a warrior," said Counselor Vex Theron, an ancient Zephyrian with white hair and cold blue eyes. "She abandoned her duties to the Empire to fight for another species. This proves that humans are a corrupting influence." "The princess showed great courage," argued Counselor Myra Salas, a younger woman with kind eyes. "She helped save 200 innocent lives. Is this not what we should expect from our future empress?" Jake wanted to defend Lyra, but Emperor Thane had told him to remain silent during the debate. Lyra sat on a platform near her father, her face calm but her eyes burning with anger. Jake could see that she was fighting to control her temper. "The question is not whether the princess acted bravely," said another counselor. "The question is whether she can rule an empire if her heart belongs to another species. How can we trust her to make decisions that favor Zephyrians when she might choose human interests instead?" Emperor Thane raised his hand and the chamber became silent. "Counselors, you raise valid concerns. However, we must also consider the benefits of an alliance with humanity. Their rapid expansion and adaptive abilities make them valuable partners. The question is whether this partnership should be personal or purely political." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He realized that the Emperor was about to make a decision that would affect both their lives. "There is an ancient solution to this dilemma," Emperor Thane continued. "If Princess Lyra truly wishes to bond with Commander Morrison, she may do so. But she must first undergo the trial of unity." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Jake saw Lyra's face go pale, and her eyes widened with fear. He had no idea what the trial of unity was, but it was clearly something serious. "Father, no," Lyra said, standing up on her platform. "The trial has never been attempted between different species. It could kill us both." Emperor Thane looked at his daughter with sad but determined eyes. "Lyra, if you wish to rule this empire, while bonded to a human, you must prove that your connection is strong enough to survive anything. The trial of unity will bond your life forces permanently. If either of you dies, both will die. If either of you betrays the other, both will suffer. It is the ultimate test of true commitment." Jake finally understood why everyone looked so frightened. This was not just a marriage ceremony. It was a magical ritual that would literally tie his life to Lyra's forever. "Your Majesty," Jake said, stepping forward, "may I ask what exactly this trial involves?" The Emperor turned to him. "Commander Morrison, the trial of unity requires both participants to open their minds and souls completely to each other. All secrets, all fears, all hidden thoughts become shared. Your life forces merge into a single entity that exists in two bodies. It is the most intimate connection possible between two beings." Jake felt his mouth go dry. "And if we fail the trial, then both of you die," the Emperor said simply. "The trial has been performed 17 times in Zephyrian history. 14 couples survived. 3 couples died when their minds rejected each other." Jake looked at Lyra, who was staring at him with desperate eyes. He could see that she wanted him to refuse, to tell her father that the risk was too great. Part of him wanted to do exactly that. The idea of dying in some alien ritual terrified him, but another part of him remembered the mental link they had shared during the healing on Kepler-7. For those few minutes, he had felt more connected to another being than he ever had in his life. Even his marriage to Lisa had not been that deep. The thought of sharing that connection with Lyra permanently was both terrifying and wonderful. "I need time to think about this," Jake said finally. Emperor Thane nodded. "You have 3 days to decide. If you choose not to attempt the trial, you will be returned to human space with no shame. The courtship will end, but our peoples can still be allies." That evening, Jake walked alone through the crystal gardens behind the palace. The alien plants glowed softly in the darkness, and strange music seemed to come from the flowers themselves. He had never felt so confused in his life. Lyra found him sitting by a fountain made of liquid light. She wore a simple dress and had flowers in her hair like the human women he had taught her about. Her eyes were the deep blue color that meant sadness. "Jake, I am sorry," she said, sitting beside him on the crystal bench. "I never wanted you to face such a choice. My father is trying to protect our people, but he is also testing us in a way that is not fair." Jake took her hand. "Lyra, tell me honestly, do you want to go through with this trial?" Lyra was quiet for a long time. "Jake, I have never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. When we shared minds during the healing, I saw your memories and felt your emotions. I understood what it means to love someone completely. But I cannot ask you to risk your life for me." "What if I want to risk my life for you?" Jake asked. "What if I think what we have is worth the danger?" Lyra looked at him with surprise. "You would do that, even knowing you might die?" Jake thought about his wife Lisa and how she had died fighting for what she believed in. He thought about the colonists they had saved together and how natural it had felt to work as a team with Lyra. He thought about the loneliness he had felt for years and how it disappeared when Lyra smiled at him. "Lyra, I have been afraid to love anyone since my wife died," Jake said. "I thought if I cared about someone again, I would just lose them like I lost her. But these past weeks with you have shown me something important. It is better to love someone and risk losing them than to never love at all." Lyra's eyes changed to a warm golden color. "Jake Morrison, are you saying you love me?" Jake smiled. "Yes, Your Highness, I am saying I love you. And I want to go through with this trial, not because your father demands it, but because I want to be connected to you in every way possible." Lyra threw her arms around him and kissed him. Her lips tasted like starlight and honey. When they broke apart, she was crying tears that sparkled like diamonds. "I love you too, Jake," she whispered. "And I want to share everything with you, even if it means we die trying." They sat together in the crystal garden, holding each other under the alien stars. Neither of them noticed the figure watching from the shadows near the palace. Ambassador Keth Morden, Lyra's former betrothed, had heard everything. His eyes burned with jealousy and rage as he watched the human and Zephyrian princes together. Keth had been promised Lyra's hand in marriage since they were children. The alliance between their families would have made him one of the most powerful beings in the Empire. Now this primitive human was stealing everything that should have been his. As Jake and Lyra walked back toward the palace, Keth stepped out of the shadows. He was tall and handsome, with perfect crystal features and eyes like purple flames. His voice was smooth and dangerous. "Princess Lyra, Commander Morrison," he said with a bow that was barely polite. "I could not help but overhear your conversation. How romantic that you are willing to die for love." Lyra moved closer to Jake. "Keth, what do you want?" Keth smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I want to congratulate you on your choice. But I should warn you both that not everyone in the galaxy wishes to see this alliance succeed. There are those who would prefer to see both your species destroyed rather than united." Jake felt danger in the air like electricity before a storm. "What are you talking about, Ambassador?" "Oh, just rumors," Keth said casually. "Stories about certain groups who might try to sabotage the trial. Accidents do happen during such dangerous rituals. It would be such a tragedy if something went wrong." Lyra's eyes flashed red with anger.